What is currently happening, programs? Welcome to the Grid VR, where I'll be bringing you this week's news in virtual reality. It's Sunday, the 23rd of December, 2018, and all I can say this week is focus. The future is varied. We've got Oculus Deep Focus sitting on the bleeding edge, Fly Inside Flight Sim taking it to the jets, Beat Saber meets League of Legends, Kaisuo, Slightly Heroes, winter sales on the stores, and a bit more. Today, I'm going to cover off the main events to keep you in the loop. So stay locked, enjoy, and welcome to the Grid VR. Remember the Oculus Half Dome prototype I covered in this episode of the Grid VR earlier in the year? The one with the 140-degree field of view, moving varifocal displays, and that currently sits at the bleeding edge of VR technology? Well, Oculus have unveiled and open-sourced the software that will run that headset. The Deep Focus software, in combination with the Half Dome varifocal headset hardware, aim to deliver lifelike varifocal VR experiences by using screens that move to match your eye movements and bring objects in and out of focus when you look at or away from them in real time, just like you would see in real life. Yep, perfectly in focus. More so, for example, that when you look at something close to your face, that object comes into focus while everything in the background goes out of focus, and vice versa. This is not only a lot more comfortable compared to what we have now due to reducing eye strain and fatigue, but it's also a lot more complicated to achieve than you would imagine, as aside from the obvious hardware constraints, simply chucking on a cinematic blur doesn't cut the proverbial mustard-covered hot dog with grated tasty cheese, a sliver of barbecue sauce, and a soft, delicate bun. Instead, the Deep Focus software uses an AI trained using deep learning technology to apply a dynamic render blur to the right spot at the right time, depending on exactly where your eye is looking. And where previous methods based on mathematical models came up with low quality results and artifacts, the Deep Focus software instead provides a more realistic, comfortable, and seamless VR experience for the end user, all the while being much more processor efficient, which means it can run on current day computing hardware. Well, I say that, but Facebook Reality Labs used a quad GPU machine to get this running, so maybe not right now for consumers. Not only that, but the Deep Focus software is being designed to work with existing games. So if you were to buy a Half Dome headset in however many years' time, whatever that may end up being, you could play all your old VR games with varifocal technology. This is not only great for us as consumers directly, but it also means developers wouldn't have to do any additional work on top of the additional work that they have to do when building a VR game, versus its simpler flat game counterpart. The whole thing would just work. This is all crazy stuff, and I've put a link to the white paper presented at SIGGRAPH, the open source link for GitHub to the Deep Focus software, and other links if you want to dive deeper into what Deep Focus can do. Fly Inside VR Flight Simulator is a harrowing tale of one user with a raging dedication to switch flicking who commandeered a commercial airplane and saved the day by putting that plane into a nosedive and then pulling up in time to technically save the day that he almost initially ruined. Not the point, you're welcome. Fly Inside is also a realistic flight sim built from the ground up for VR that started out life as an add-on for X-Plane and FSX, aka Microsoft Flight Simulator, which later became Prepared after FSX took a nosedive and the project was acquired by Lockheed Martin in 2009. What, really? That's so something I don't care about. Well, you should care, because this week Fly Inside hits Steam Early Access as a standalone VR experience where you can pilot 10 different aircraft ranging from high-speed jets to hover helicopters across multiple locations covering the entire continental United States. It is optimized for VR, which means that the scenery system is designed to maintain 90 FPS while displaying dense clouds and auto-generated detailed landscapes outside your aircraft, in addition to crisp, detailed interiors inside. The sim supports a range of inputs including joysticks, gamepad, VR motion controllers, leap motion, and keyboard and mouse, and is playable on both PC desktop or in VR. You can try a free time-limited but fully functional demo right now, which I'll link in the description of this video, or invest in the early access VR experience on Steam, if flight sims are your thing. And honestly, from what I've seen so far, if flight sims are your thing, then this early access title might be just the plane ticket out of here. Polybius is an urban legend, a fictional arcade game circa early in the year 2000, used by the Men in Black to mine information from the minds of players, which was turned into actual arcade games and then a VR game in May of 2017 by Llamasoft, helmed by Jeff Minter, who is a name you'll recognize if you grew up on Commodore 64 or Atari games in the 80s and beyond. Initially released in May of last year on the PSVR, Polybius is now available on the Steam store for $25. With no Vive support. Well, those getting upset that there is only Oculus support on Steam for a game need to either buy Jeff a Vive themselves or realize that Steam is an open PC gaming marketplace that doesn't specifically have to support anything the developer hasn't developed for, provided the game does run on a PC. Still, Vive support would be better than no Vive support. The game itself has 50 levels of trance music-backed tunnel shooting presented in glorious neon splattered pixelated 80s game goodness if it were built on more modern hardware. If that sounds like something you would be into, all the links are in the description below. And briefly, Kaisuo is a single player puzzle game where you unlock different worlds by solving Chinese puzzle boxes, while you're essentially standing inside a giant version of that puzzle box. It's short at around 20 minutes of gameplay, depending on your puzzle solving skills, but it has a cleanly addictive aesthetic that kinda reminds me a little of Myst in a more user-friendly puzzle type way, and not so much a kill me now before I kill myself, this Chinese finger trap has no real solution kind of work. Kaisuo supports room scale and front-facing setups and is free as a crane on the Oculus store right now for Rift owners, and there's a link in the description below if you want to take up the challenge. Slightly Heroes is a very fun Pixar-themed cross-platform single or online multiplayer VR shooter with a heroic twist from Hat Rabbit Entertainment. Players can unlock multiple characters and weapons and shoot it out with each other in fast-paced free locomotion duels across a variety of locations, while collecting power-ups that immediately give you access to some slightly higher powered weapons. For $10, it's some great sideline fun and perfect for something like a VR arcade, though there is paid DLC as you would expect these days from a mobile game, though I'm not sure how badly that will segment this game's seemingly small player base. The whole experience comes across as if Vive were making an Incredibles the movie VR shooter game, so check the links below if that sounds like you. Infinite Productions have created a VR experience that simulates color blindness in varying types and intensities, allowing you to gain a greater understanding of what it's like to be colorblind. Set across 3 environments, including a garden, a shop, and a museum, and with activities that will give you real-world examples of the challenges people with different types of color blindness issues can face on a day-to-day basis. A very, very cool use of educational VR, and it is free on both the Steam and the Oculus storefronts right now, and you'll find links in the description below to both of those. Also, VR winter sales are on again with Steam, Oculus, and PSVR all coming to the party, bringing some great game deals to set you up for the holidays. My top 2 picks are Invisible Hours with a 60% discount and Pixel Ripped with a 40% discount. Let me know your top picks in the comments below. For those of you that want a tripped out VR music visualizer that lets you bug the fuck out in VR while listening to the music on your PC, DMT was released this week on the Steam store for $5. KDA is a set of 4 alt-universe skins from League of Legends, presented by a virtual 4-piece futuristic girl pop group called KDA. That virtual group had a hit song called Pop Stars last month, and now that song is officially playable in Beat Saber on all platforms, after a promo clip popped up featuring Madison Beer, who actually voices KDA Evelyn, making this one hell of a VR game crossover and one expert level marketing campain. And Palmer Luckey has modded the grey out of an Oculus Go with his own brand of educated additions and cutbacks, ranging from dyeing the fabric right through to replacing the Go's cooling system, all resulting in a lighter, cooler, and custom coloured Oculus Go. Luckey also pointed out a much more extreme mod done by Goro Man, which if you want to see how extreme Go modding can be, then that's about as far as it goes. And if you want to find out more about that one or any of the other topics I've covered today, as always, all the links are in the description. And finally, Merry Christmas to you all, and I hope your New Year's celebrations end up like this. I'll be back here on the Grid VR in 3 weeks, but we'll have VR videos up between now and then, so stay locked. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who has commented, liked, subscribed, or shared this content in 2018, and particularly those who have donated or supported me on Patreon, as all that support literally makes this show possible. Thank you so much. Stay safe, enjoy your holidays, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!